actually think the Red Sox might not suck this year.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
Me!
Presented by Bigelow Tea, Jackson Lumber, Blue Moonlight, Wellesley Testosterone, FindMassMoney.com, Gem Plumbing, and by Golf. On Boston's home for sports, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Bases loaded. 2 out, 2-2 on Connor Wong. And here it comes from McGill. Swinging a high pop-up. Into right. Frelick underneath it. And that will do it. McGill hangs on by a thread. Red Sox make it fascinating in the end, but they fall for the third consecutive time. They lose on this Memorial Day 3-2.
Man, that run you gave up in the eighth now really coming back to bite you, right? The offense woke up a little bit there in the ninth, but you got to get it going. You got to put some runs up on the board here to break what you got going on here lately.
And it keeps getting worse for the Red Sox. There's no other way to say it. On Memorial Day, one of the true checkpoint moments of the baseball season, you check in on the Boston Red Sox and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know how it gets better without drastic changes. And still, even then, I don't know if they have what it takes to turn this thing around. I don't think that's an overstatement. I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that's where this team is at this point. And I'm just as surprised by it as you are. I thought they were going to be better this year. I did. And they're not. And bad things are happening. They got bad culture, bad leadership, bad injuries, bad baseball players. And here you are. So that's a nice uplifting way to start the baseball hour tonight. Hi, how you doing? Probably better than me. It's Matt McCarthy hanging in for Maz. We got room for you, 617-779-0985. Jimmy Stewart is here. Is that an overreaction, Jimmy? Or are the Red Sox in deep, deep trouble?
No, the Red Sox season could be considered over right now, and they're only two games under 500. But their body language, the way that they've played, the manager seems to... Every move he does is a fail. He seems maybe disconnected. It feels like it's the clubhouse against management. There are so many issues here, and there shouldn't be. The team that Craig Breslow put together is better on paper, yet it's underperforming on the field. That's the manager's problem.
Let's just talk about the roster this year compared to the roster last year, because there are issues, no doubt about it, and they obviously have lacked some depth in some key spots, first base and the bullpen and the pitching rotation. Certainly, no doubt, and you can put that on management. But this is a team, Jimmy, who last offseason traded for an ace with a 2 ERA. You're now 6-6 in his starts this year. Traded for or signed an MVP candidate, the player with the second highest WAR in the American League, who's now hurt. There's nothing you can do about that, but that's obviously a devastating blow. They found a guy who was going to be their backup catcher and has become their starting catcher and is a legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate, and maybe changes how you feel about that position in the future. I mean, that's how good Carlos Narvaez has been. And you also signed a closer who's been great. Ace, starting catcher, MVP candidate, closer. All of those positions added, and you have a worse record now than you did last year. And it's trending even worse than that. You were a game above 500 last year. You're 2 games below 500 now, with things only getting worse. I don't think it's an overstatement, Jimmy. They are in real trouble. This is significant. The Bregman injury undeniably is devastating. The lineup cannot withstand his absence. He's the only right-handed hitter in the organization. Campbell is a nothing right now. Trevor Story has been a nothing for 5 years. We talked about it. Your best right-handed hitter is Carlos Narvaez, who was batting third today, was pinch run for, which led to Connor Wong protecting Rafael Devers in the 9th inning and coming up to the plate in the most important at-bat of the game and one of the most important at-bats in the season. Obviously, he did not deliver. The bullpen's in shambles. The starters outside of Crochet haven't done anything. You are 6-6 in Crochet games. They have no pitching in Worcester, and the only guy they have in Worcester just happens to be the best prospect in all of baseball, and they refuse to bring him up. Not to mention, too, the manager is having his worst season in the dugout that he's had in his career. He continued that again today with a terrible management in the 7th inning, pinch running for Narvaez, leading to Wong protecting Devers in the 9th inning. And most importantly, he's been even worse in the clubhouse. He's letting the inmates run the asylum. He has sided with Rafael Devers. He has been an accomplice in Rafael Devers' efforts to not help this team. Devers refuses to go into the field when that would open up a spot for Anthony or would open up a spot for Yoshida, who's eligible to come off the injured list today, but cannot field right now based on his shoulder. You put it all together, and it's reasonable to say that they just might not come back from this. And I can't believe that's where we're at on Memorial Day. It's stunning. Jimmy, I try not to be surprised by anything the Red Sox do. I'm a Red Sox fan. I skew a little bit more negative because I am a Red Sox fan on this team. It's hard to be surprised by the Red Sox struggling, especially based on the way things have gone since 2019. This I'm legitimately surprised by. I did not see it happening this way, and it's playing out this way, and I don't know if there's much that can be done to fix it at this point.
There's an extreme move to be made, and I'm suggesting trade Duran for what you don't have and bring up Roman Anthony. And that's the move.
I don't hate it. They've got to start shaking things up because there's a talent aspect to this in the wake of the Bregman injury because they don't have anybody who can hit right-handed. So that exists. But the bigger problem with this team exists in the clubhouse. It exists with the culture. And now you have pieces that don't fit again. You have your most valuable piece in Worcester because you don't want to make room for him for whatever reason that may be. And now you have holes on the roster based on the injuries that you've had this year. So you're right, Jimmy. Trading Jarren Duran is a drastic move, but maybe that's something you look to over the course of the next couple of months here. It is going to take something drastic to get this thing back on the right track, whether that's trading away core players to get new blood, new life into this clubhouse, to get something that you don't have by trading something that you do have, or the easier move in the interim is to fire the manager because the manager isn't helping anything. And they're not going to do it because they paid the manager last year and he's just starting a contract extension. So what are they going to do? Are they bold enough to trade Jarren Duran this season? Or whatever that move you think it is, whatever trade you think the Red Sox could make, is this group bold enough to do that? I don't think so. And are they bold enough to do what they really need to do, which is move on from Alex Cora, who mismanaged this game again today, which we'll get into in the actual in-game stuff today. But I just think the bigger picture stuff is you've got so many problems, and the only way you're going to fix those problems is by starting to remove some people from behind the scenes, because those folks are not obviously helping this situation. You have to start changing things. And sometimes people need to go when you start changing things. It is not too early to hit the panic button. Bob Lobel, where are you? Find Lobe. Break out the panic button. This is as classic as it gets. The Red Sox season spiraling out of control. 617-779-0985. Barry in Somerville to lead us off today on the Baseball Hour. Hey, Barry.
Okay, so they're cooked. And the only obvious move I see is to bring up Anthony and play the kids. Just look to the future and play the kids. And maybe trading Duran is a good idea. I don't know. Maybe that could be good too, but definitely bring up Anthony.
Of course, it's obvious. You have to bring up Roman Anthony. He should have been up a month ago. He probably should have broken camp with the team. He's more ready for the majors than Christian Campbell, who hasn't hit in a month, by the way, and doesn't have a position. And maybe some questions about Campbell's ability to play center field today that cost the Red Sox with a double in the eighth. I'd have to go back and check the box score. I think it was the eighth inning. Maybe the route he took to that ball. We'll get into that. I know Cora was asked about that after the game. Campbell doesn't look ready to play. Myers' ceiling is not as high as Anthony's. Anthony should be up here. The only problem with that is we shouldn't just jump to the conclusion that once Anthony comes up, everything's going to be okay. He's a kid. He's 21 years old. Myers, 22. Campbell's 22, 23. They're all breaking into the big leagues at the same time. That doesn't work. You need to fail. You need to learn at the big league level. Do you understand how rare it is for somebody to come up right away? I mean, this is not Rice and Lynn in 75. You know how rare that is? And maybe it'll happen. I mean, it's the best chance you have to turn this thing around, but don't count on it. Roman Anthony might not be a superstar for 2 years. Marcelo Meyer might not be a star player for 2 years. I don't know if Meyer will ever be a star, but I think he's going to be a solid big leaguer. Christian Campbell might not be a superstar for 2 years. It's going to take a while. And for years, the Red Sox have worked under the assumption that everything was just going to be okay when the kids were ready and they could be called up, completely ignoring the fact that you have to develop at the big league level too. You have to learn how to play at the big league level. And that's your plan? Everything will be okay when these guys come up? All right, well, they better be superstars right away because that's how they've talked about these guys. And that was the excuse for punting year after year after year. Well, I mean, we got to wait. We got to wait till the big three show up. Well, you know what? The big three are almost here. 2 of the 3 are. And you're in the same spot or maybe even worse a spot as you have been in the last few years. What the hell's the matter with that? 617-779-0985. One open line, grab it. We'll get into Alex Cora's in-game management today and anything you want over the course of the next 45 minutes. It's McCarthy and from Maz on the Baseball Hour.
You're listening to the Baseball Hour with Tony Maz.
The past 3 games, do you get the sense that guys might be pressing a little bit, just trying to make up for the loss of Bregman? Obviously, that's a big hit to the lineup.
I think you're still going to get at bats either with Alex on the line or not, right? And it's just one of those trends right now that we're not producing, but hopefully we keep the line moving and we're going to score, sooner rather than later.
Red Sox probably can't accomplish. They don't have anybody in the organization who can hit right-handed right now outside of Carlos Narvaez. So that opened up a scenario and a situation in which Alex Cora batted Carlos Narvaez number 3 today. Jimmy Stewart, where does your best hitter normally hit? Where should you think your best hitter would hit in baseball?
So I believe that the people who've been feeling that the best hitter in your lineup hits third for 100 years are right. But in today's game, the last 5 years, your best hitter hits second.
So, because the Red Sox have totally bought into that idea, they are going Duran, Devers 1-2, which essentially forces them to have a right-handed hitter batting third. Today they went with Carlos Narvaez because they refused to break up Duran and Devers and actually hit Devers third. They went with Carlos Narvaez, who gets a base knock in the 7th inning to advance, I'm not sure who it was, to third base. Probably Duran at that point. But Narvaez gets a base knock, runners on first and third. Red Sox down 2 runs. Cora pinch runs for Carlos Narvaez, his best right-handed hitter, who is protecting Rafael Devers. Keep that in mind. Christian Campbell comes up, sees 5 pitches. Wong, who pinch runs, doesn't go anywhere, stays at first base. Gets put out at second on a ground ball by Campbell that brings home a run, Red Sox trailing 2-1. So, you've gotten in a run, you're still down 1, but your best right-handed hitter is out of the lineup, replaced by Connor Wong, who you now cannot pinch hit for because you have used both of your catchers. So Connor Wong's in the game no matter what, because we pinch ran for Carlos Narvaez, not when he was in scoring position, but because he was at first base. They never tried to move him. They never tried to put him in motion. They never tried to run him, and he was put out at second base. Fast forward to the 9th inning. Red Sox down 1 run. Runners on first and third. 2 outs. Jarren Duran knocks in a run. That brings up Rafael Devers. Tying run on third base. Go-ahead run on first base. Pat Murphy, who's a good manager of the Brewers, walks Rafael Devers, putting the go-ahead run in scoring position, which goes against anything you'd want to believe in baseball. You don't want to put the go-ahead run in scoring position. But Murphy knows that Wong is hitting behind Rafael Devers because Cora pinch ran for Narvaez with Wong and opened up Devers to be walked in any situation possible. Connor Wong does not have a hit with runners in scoring position in the year 2025. He flies out, game over. Connor Wong stood no chance. Complete and total mismanagement by the manager. Putting Narvaez as Devers' protection in the first place, knowing there could be a situation in which they would need to run for Narvaez, because you always need to run for your catcher. That's the way baseball works. So Cora, before the game, willfully, consciously, and deliberately put his catcher behind Devers, knowing that that could lead to Wong entering the game to protect Devers in the key situation, and still did it all. Not to mention, too, ran for Narvaez when he was not in scoring position. If he's in scoring position, that's a different story. And that helped cost the Red Sox this game again today. No wonder they are 6-14 in one-run games. The manager completely and totally screwed that up. And it's a small little moment over the course of 162, but there was a sign of a manager who I thought was better than that. And he's not. He's not. He's become a big part of the problem. 617-779-0985. Andrew in South Carolina with another thing that Cora does. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, guys. You're talking about the mismanagement of Alex Cora. Of course, we saw it today with Connor Wong. A lot of people blame him for hitters not hitting well. I wouldn't go that far. Clearly, we saw Connor Wong today, but I would say a bigger issue is how he manages the bullpen. We saw it today again, how he left Whitlock in for way too long. We've seen that on multiple occasions. We clearly lose too many games when Cora mishandles the bullpen. And when we saw Ramon Vasquez took over those 2 games against the Mets, I would say he handled the bullpen perfectly. So in the fantasy world where, Cora gets fired, would you say Ramon Vasquez is a good replacement for Cora?
Anybody besides Cora at this point. My concern with Vasquez would be, and Jimmy, you can chime in on this as well, is that Vasquez is a Cora guy. I don't know. And listen, he managed the team better in those 2 days in game than Cora has ever since he came back. And frankly, before he left for the graduation, Cora has not had a good year in the dugout. But I don't know if I want somebody taking over who is an Alex Cora guy. I think Cora has mismanaged the clubhouse. Is Ramon Vasquez going to go to Rafael Devers and say, we need you to play the field?
Doubt it.
Probably not. So if you fire Cora, it needs to be Chad Tracy, somebody else, anybody who is not associated with Alex Cora.
And not Jason Varitek, because people haven't figured out Jason Varitek got demoted from responsibilities around the team because he wasn't good at them last year.
That feels informed.
Yeah, I think that's out there. I think that's been out there since the offseason. But I think Varitek got more money to do less.
That's the American dream right there. Which, of course, is what they approached Rafael Devers with in the first place. Hey, Rafi, here's money, and we just want you to do less. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. And now that we need to ask him to do more, he says, no, I don't want to do that. And the amazing thing in all of it is the manager supports him in that. Imagine if he could bring up Roman Anthony. Imagine if he could bring up Masataka Yoshida, who I don't think is a great player, but at least is a decent big league hitter. Imagine if you could do that.
He can barrel the bat on the ball, and you're striking out a ton, so that might save a few strikeouts there.
He physically can't play the field because of the shoulder. Rafael Devers can physically play the field, but he just doesn't want to because, well, he's hurt. And Alex Cora has enabled him and said, good that you're mad. You do you, which is mind-boggling to me. Insubordinate is the right term. Drew in Boston. Hey, Drew.
Hey, Matt. So I'm right there with you on all the things you said today about Cora and then some, because let's be honest, that team that he managed to a World Series, that was a wagon. Joe Biden could have managed that team to a World Series. And since then, every time he's been asked to do something with nothing or something with less than or whatever, you get what you get, which is garbage, okay? Hot garbage. Now we get a team that before the season Vegas has as the fourth runner, like the fourth team in odds to win the pennant. And we're under 500 against the trash part of the schedule and trending in the wrong direction. And Bregman isn't the denominator there because we were in the same spot before he was hurt. So I'll say get rid of him. He's too lax. He's too lovey-dovey with the players. He doesn't want to ask this one or that one to do anything. His staff is absolutely underperforming both on the pitching side and the hitting side. Give me Joe Girardi to get in there, crack a whip, show young guys how to be a major leaguer and how to be a professional and be held accountable. But this guy is just trash and hot garbage.
Hey, Drew, do you think Millard Fillmore could manage the 2018 Red Sox?
I think yes, corpse and all.
Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. 2018 was a long time ago, guys. Long time ago.
And that team was loaded.
Oh, my God.
I could have managed that team to a World Series championship and the all-time Red Sox record.
Anybody could have. So long as they weren't John Farrell. Because Farrell needed to go. And by the way, Farrell was the right guy in 2013. You could have said anybody could have done it who wasn't Bobby Valentine. You might have been right. But Farrell had worn out his welcome by the time 2018 rolled around. Farrell couldn't connect with the players. Farrell had lost the clubhouse. The problem with Cora is he has the clubhouse. He's on their side. He can't do both. You need to be, as a manager, you of course need to command the respect of your players. You can be friends with your players, but you also need to be tough on them when you need to be tough on them. You need to hold them accountable. And Cora completely does not want to do that. He has abdicated that responsibility, and it's hurting the team. 617-779-0985. When we come back, Jimmy Stewart has a cocktail napkin. He has crafted, I would argue, a much better lineup than Alex Cora crafted today. And it's amazing how easy it would be to get the best 9 out there for the Boston Red Sox, but they have chosen not to do so because they can't approach Rafael Devers and they don't want to call Roman Anthony up from Worcester. We will do all of that. We will break down more of the problems with this team. Garrett Crochet, the numbers in his starts this year are ugly, and it has nothing to do with his performance. He's been excellent. The team itself has been bad around him. We'll do all of that coming up. been on good teams. He's been on bad teams. He's been on mediocre teams. Jimmy, when I have Rob Refsnyder coming out and saying we suck right now, that to me tells me how the team feels about it. I think
we're not doing it. We suck right now.
They do. They suck right now, and I think they're starting to doubt themselves. I think the human element is coming into this game. They're pressing at the plate. They know they don't have the talent at the plate from the right side. I have to imagine there are, at least some issues in in that clubhouse based on the way the Devers stuff has gone down this year. I'm guessing there are maybe some factions. I don't know. All I know is that's a pretty honest take from a player. And when players start being honest with you and start giving you stuff like that, that's a sign, and that's indicative of the problems behind the scenes. They're starting to doubt themselves. And can you blame them? I'm starting to doubt them. I'm beyond doubting them at this point. I'm starting to doubt whether or not they will be able to bounce back from this. Because this season is teetering on the brink. And it's May 26th and it's Memorial Day. Normally, this is a time where you say, hey, they're not good enough right now. They need to turn things around. They haven't been, this is kind of who they are for the first third of the season. This is indicative of where they are going. They've had the easiest schedule in baseball. It's only going to get tougher. You're without Bregman. The manager is an issue. Crochet's the only pitcher giving you anything, and you're 6-6 in his starts. What a mess. What a mess. How do you fix it, Stu? And you have
punt.
Your best, punt. That's the Alex Cora game management approach. Let's just punt. Punt in every game. It's a long season. And then you look up and you finish 3 games below 500. You have taken out a cocktail napkin and have drawn up a better lineup than Alex Cora came up with today, which, by the way, I'll give you the lineup. Today was Duran, Devers, Narvaez, pinch run for and then hit for by Connor Wong. Campbell, Abreu, Meyer, Story, Toro, Hamilton. What's your best crack at it, Stu?
Duran in left, Campbell at second, Devers at third, Roman Anthony the DH, Abreu in right, Narvaez as the catcher, Mayer at shortstop, Sogar at first, and batting ninth, Rafaela in center field.
It's a hell of a lot better than what you just gave me. Here, let me workshop this. Is there a way we can get Anthony and Yoshida in the lineup?
Yes, you put...
It gives you a lot of lefties, but at this point, I don't care. Lefty, righty.
You move Campbell to first base. You put Rafaela at second base.
Or you just take Rafaela out of the lineup and you keep Sogard at first and Campbell at second. Devers needs to play third. Isn't that what this is coming down to?
Yes.
If you're putting your best lineup together. All right, so let's do
Maybe
this.
They should trade Devers. He seems to be the problem. Even though he's having a career year at the plate.
He's gonna lead the league in walks this year, which has a lot to do with his approach. And
because he can't hit the fastball like he once did, so he's looking for his pitch.
Yep. But also, who's going to protect him? Who's hitting behind him? Why would you ever, if you're an opposing pitcher, why would you ever pitch to Rafael Devers right now?
You wouldn't unless you're Alex Cora in a late situation like he did with Vlad Guerrero.
What if Roman Anthony's hitting behind him?
Helps.
Would you pitch to Rafael Devers? I mean, you're still probably pitching to Anthony in that scenario, but it's a better crack at it, right? But no, instead we get Carlos Narvaez and Christian Campbell providing the protection for Devers.
Not great.
Not great at all. What about having Abreu hit behind him?
Well, that's why in my lineup I have Abreu hitting behind Anthony to protect Roman Anthony.
You did something in your lineup that I love, Stu. They have to get Campbell going. They have no choice. He is the right-handed hitter with the most upside in the organization right now. Bregman's down for the count. They need Campbell to hit, and he hasn't hit in a month. How do you get him going?
The idea is you move him up to second because Rafael Devers is there to protect him, and the number 2 hitter historically gets more fastballs to hit, which we all think Campbell can hit the fastball, barrel up the fastball, put it in play.
Wait a minute. Did you just talk about protecting a hitter in the lineup? I know this does not apply to analytics, but did we just find out today how important protecting hitters in the lineup is?
Yes.
You lost the game because you couldn't protect Rafael Devers. You actually chose not to protect Rafael Devers because you pinch ran for Narvaez to put Wong in the game, who hits like a pitcher and actually catches like a pitcher too. He's awful. He sucks. God, does he suck. So you're right. You hit Campbell second. You drop Devers to third. None of these options are great, but this is what you have to work with. And if you had a manager who was trying, Stu, and you had a manager who was pushing back against maybe the front office, because that's a very analytically driven lineup that they did today, then you would hit Campbell second, you would get him going, you would use some baseball logic to help the kid out. But they haven't done it yet. And you should help Rafael Devers out by putting the best hitter you have in the organization behind him. You can make an argument that's Roman Anthony. You got to split up the lefties at the top. You got to find a righty to hit somewhere up there. It's not Christian Campbell hitting cleanup where he has no protection behind him. It's Christian Campbell hitting second. So it's Duran, Campbell, Devers. What if it's even Yoshida hitting cleanup? I don't love it, but he can put his bat on the ball.
At least you have somebody who can barrel up the baseball, exactly.
At least he's a major league hitter. Then you go Yoshida, Narvaez, Anthony, Sogard, Meyer. Well, I guess can't, yeah. I mean, you see what I'm doing there? Maybe it makes a little bit more sense. It's a tough spot that they're in, but it shouldn't be this bad. That's the story from this year. It should not be this bad. 617-779-0985. Steve in Shirley. That's hot. Hi, Steve.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention about the pitching. Nate Eovaldi leads the league in starting pitching whip. Could have just paid him. Nick Pavetta's got a 2.50 ERA for the Padres. Could have just paid him. And you could have at least actually got something for Chris Sale instead of just giving him away for a minor league infielder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to question the Sale thing. That was never going to happen here. I had no problem with the Sale move at the time. The return they got was awful, but that wasn't going to happen here. The Eovaldi thing, picking Eovaldi over Walker Buehler, yeah, they might have screwed that one up. Nick Pivetta was a dime a dozen guy. I know he's got a 2.5 ERA. I mean, sure, it's an easy second guess, and that's what we do in sports talk radio. No doubt, Craig Breslow has not done a perfect job, but I keep looking at this roster, and I say this is a team that added an ace, added an MVP candidate, added a starting catcher, and added a closer, and you're worse than you were last year. How is that possible? And while the starting rotation isn't great, it's still better than it was last year because you have Garrett Crochet taking the ball every 5 days, and you're 6-6 in those starts. That's not all on Craig Breslow. If you were to give Breslow a grade right now, Stu, what would you give him?
I'd give Breslow a B+.
I think that's the fair grade. Yeah, the bullpen isn't good enough. The backup situation at first base wasn't good enough entering the year. And yeah, you missed out on Eovaldi. So yeah, B+. But I'm sorry, when you add an ace and an MVP candidate, forget the catcher and forget the closer, that's a B off season right there. It's better than a B off season. It's not the front office.
Bregman is ownership.
Right.
Chapman is Breslow.
Narvaez is definitely
the Crochet
Breslow.
trade is Breslow because he's got to identify which prospects are worth sending out. That right there is a B. And then all these other little things are, Narvaez is a Breslow thing, so that's a B+ to me.
It's not the general manager. And it's not the owner right now. We've criticized John Henry for years. This team's in the luxury tax. They've spent more money than they have in a long, long time. Their roster is better than it's been in a long, long time. And yet, they're actually slightly worse than they've been. Which is saying something. It's the manager. Manager's the problem. 617-779-0985. We'll wrap up the baseball hour next.
more of a routine, even though you hadn't done it before at the big league level?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome waking up as a big leaguer. Just the whole day kind of getting prepared for the game with my family in town. It was a special day.
What was it like to get that first hit, take us through the at-bat, and then they flipped you the baseball as you stood there at first?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was just trying to get a good pitch to hit. I ended up getting 2 strikes, I think. Shot it to left field. It was a really cool moment.
He hasn't looked overmatched since, which is a good sign. There's a player who struggled, he failed, and he bounced back. That's baseball. That's the way the sport works. And it's sometimes, with young players in particular, that's the most important trait a young baseball player can show you. I remember years ago, I was in Portland. It was my summer there, and there was a scout from the Astros. And that team was loaded. We had Bogarts, we had Vasquez, we had Matt Barnes, we had Brandon Workman, we had later in the year Henry Owens, who was a top prospect, and did I think he was a stud, and he very much was not. It was one of those years where they were just loaded. And I was talking with this scout from the Astros, and he said, Bogarts is great. Obviously, he's special, and this and that. I really like Vasquez behind the plate. He turned to me, Jimmy. He said, "You know who I really like?" I said, "Who?" He said, "Travis Shaw." I said, "Travis Shaw?"
The mayor of Ding Dong City.
This guy's hitting 220. And I said to him, I forget the guy's name. He was super nice. I was like, "Bob, he can't hit lefties. Like he's batting 220. He's got a 600 OPS. He kind of sucks." He said, "I talked to him before the game. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He'll be all right. He's got the tools. He's got the skills. I think he'll be a decent big league player because he knows how to fail." This is an older guy, and he was dead on about it. He knows how to fail. And that's the thing about young players is they haven't learned how to fail yet. Baseball is a sport where you fail 7 out of 10 times. The best players fail 7 out of 10 times. We should actually do the math on how much Trevor Story failed. What is he, 4 for his last 115? So he fails basically 10 out of 10 times. And what I saw from Marcelo Meyer this weekend is a kid who looked overmatched in his first game and has looked like a professional hitter since. And that swing is sweet. So that's been a nice thing to watch. I've enjoyed that. I have questions about what his ceiling is, but that kid has the right attitude. You just listen to him talk, and he's going to be a decent big league player. So that you should be excited about. What you should be pissed off about is the fact that he and Christian Campbell are up ahead of Roman Anthony, who's the best of those 3 players most likely. And the Red Sox need more talent, especially now with Bregman down, and they're going to keep him in Worcester. It's frustrating every single day, and they're not a serious operation until Roman Anthony is up here from Worcester. Let's go to Ron in Medford. Hey, Ron.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
I agree with you a lot of things with Sale and all the problems we had with him and getting rid of him. But what is with the Boston teams with just like giving people away for nothing? No other teams do this. I don't understand. You have a Story which everyone said that he couldn't hit out of Colorado, yet they give him big money at the time, right? I like the pickups, with their closer, but they're starting pitching. I never gone into a year where 5 or 6 of your starting pitchers have like question marks from injury.
I will say, Ron, every year in baseball, starting rotations have injury questions. You need 10 guys to get through it at this point. And maybe they have one of those in Dobbins, who, again, you want to talk about mentality, Stu. I don't know if you can quantify that. That guy's a freaking bulldog on the mound.
He strikes me as future 8th inning high leverage guy / closer for another team.
Maybe for another team because they're going to get rid of him.
Well, because they view him as a starter right now, and they need starters.
Yep.
But he can't get through the lineup a third time.
So you think he's Garrett Whitlock?
Maybe better because he's got a better mentality. He's got better upside. He doesn't have a fragility issue.
Ideally, by the end of the year, Dobbins is in the bullpen. Buehler's healthy. Houck is healthy. I'd put Houck in the bullpen at this point, coming off of whatever this thing is. I mean, they need help out there. They need more pitching. And how do you get it? Because it's not coming from Worcester. And At this point, you've probably exhausted the majority of your prospects out, and you're not trading Meyer, you're not trading Campbell, you're not trading Anthony at this point. So how do you get it? I think Jimmy Stewart's suggestion about guys off the big league roster start to change that clubhouse a little bit, whether that's Jarren Duran or Willie Abreu, and Duran would be my pick. They have to be willing to be bold to get out of this mess. And I'm not convinced they're willing to do that. They have problems in the clubhouse, and they have a problem with the manager. And I think they're just going to keep going down this route. And eventually you're going to look up, and it's going to be July 1st, and they might be 6 games under 500. That's the way this thing is trending right now. These next 6 weeks are the most important 6 weeks of the Red Sox season because this thing is trending towards it being over and done. And the last thing you want to say on Memorial Day is you're trending towards another lost season. And right now they are. It's hard to look at it any other way. They're in deep trouble. This is not an overreaction. For the first month of the season, I said they're underachieving, but I think they'll be fine. We've reached the point where I'm not convinced they're going to be fine. And that is a depressing and devastating thought as a Red Sox fan in the season that you thought they finally were going to get back to some level of competitiveness. It's even worse than it's been before. That was an uplifting program. Thank you, Jimmy Stewart, for being a part of it. Much appreciated. Maz back tomorrow?
It's the summer Maz, so who knows?
We'll find out. Is he in on Friday? Am I in on Friday?